Good afternoon / good morning to everybody. We really appreciate you spending a part of your day with us talking about, integrating Autodesk Vault Professional with the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So as we get going, here's a little bit about me. My name again is Joe Hedrick. I've been with IMAGINiT and a professional geek for just about 24 years now. It'll be 24 years in September. Prior to that, I have a land surveying and engineering background. So I worked for about 8.5 total years in industry prior to coming to IMAGINiT. On the line with me, in addition to Sean, is Matt Mason. Matt oversaw the development of the platform that you're going to see this afternoon that makes all of this work. And he will be behind the scenes helping field questions in the Q&A. So today's agenda, and we're going to treat this, almost like a case study for, a large utility company that we recently worked with. I say that it is a utility company, but it's not just isolated to the utility industry. This particular platform is extremely flexible, and it can be applicable to everywhere from manufacturing to utilities to the AEC industry. We're purely talking about linking, in our case, Autodesk Vault Professional to the Construction Cloud. But as part of the agenda, we're going to talk about the kind of the background information, the problem that particular utility was trying to solve. We'll talk about why some of the out-of-the-box solutions didn't really fit the bill. We'll talk about how we solve that solution, or how we solve the problem, and then we'll open it up to questions toward the end. So with that, a little bit of background. And like I said, this is a utility company, and the particular division or group that we were working with does substation design. They have all kinds of software available to them. They have just about every product that Autodesk makes that you can imagine in the AEC collection, as well as the manufacturing collection. So lots of AutoCADs, Civil 3Ds, Map 3Ds, Inventor, Navisworks, and then third-party products that run on top of those applications. And all of their day-to-day work is managed in Autodesk Vault. For this particular client, we had recently switched them off of ProjectWise, but now everything is being managed inside of Autodesk Vault. And what the requirements were was pretty simple. They wanted to get their issued for construction drawings, once they were approved inside of Vault, they wanted to get those transferred over to the Autodesk Construction Cloud for, number one, construction management purposes, as well as for maintenance purposes. So part of the problem they were trying to solve was having all the pertinent design information available during construction, but also have it available down the line for their maintenance teams. And probably the bigger, I won't say challenge, but requirement was there's a lot of metadata about these files inside of Vault that they needed to transfer with that data into the Construction Cloud. Right? This particular firm has over 5,000 substations that they're managing. So having that metadata available for query and search purposes was, one of their utmost requirements. Now, you might be asking yourself, what about Project Sync? There is a tool that's built, it's been inside of Vault Pro for the last several releases that will synchronize Vault to the Construction Cloud. It'll also synchronize Vault to Fusion, I believe. Yeah. And the thing with Project Sync is files transfers only really happen based on a schedule. Meaning we can say, hey, every day at X o'clock, we want you to synchronize. Or we can say, hey, I want you to synchronize yourself every, X number of hours. However, what people really are looking for is when they make changes, to have those changes immediately or very soon thereafter reflected on the other side. And I say other side, whether it's Vault to the construction cloud or whether it's the construction cloud back to Vault, they want those changes reflected in a somewhat timely manner. Depending on where you are in your day, if it's set up to synchronize daily at a particular time or every X number of hours, right? That may happen quickly or that may take some time, just depending on where in that cycle things land. Probably the bigger challenge that we found, with the out-of-the-box tools was that they will only transfer the files. There's no data that goes with it. So from that perspective, and then by data, I'm talking about metadata, user-defined properties, that's the information that they needed to flow through with the files. So based on all of that, we needed to find another solution to achieve this. And really, that's where IMAGINiT Pulse comes in. And I'll say, simply put, Pulse is a systems integration platform. It is meant to link two somewhat disparate systems and have data flow in between them. So in our case, it's Vault through Pulse to the construction cloud. We can link to ERP systems. We can link to other, the acronym is escaping me. Customer systems. We can link to accounting systems, et cetera. But really, just think of Pulse as kind of this centralized platform, with connectors attaching to the different business systems to transfer data in between. And with that, that's how we were able to solve this particular request, right? Linking all the information that's inside of a Vault system when they're ready for it to synchronize, and only the specific data that they want to synchronize over to the construction cloud, right? This isn't an all or nothing. It's not based on, hey, sync this entire folder. We are able to drill down to the actual file level and say, what, sync this file, but don't sync that file. And we will take a look at that kind of in the examples. All right, so I am going to hit play, and we will actually watch this work. And what you'll see is we're starting off inside of Vault. And all of these files have some user-defined data that go along with them. You'll see it's project manager, project name, project number, and all of them are sitting in a state that's submitted for review. And the way that I set up this particular demonstration is the lifecycle change is what is acting as the trigger to kick off the rest of the processes. So when those files get approved, when the next step in this particular lifecycle state was IFR or IFC, issued for construction, you'll see Vault starting to do a couple of things. Number one, we utilize a job processor. We don't have to. We'll show you in my second example, not using the job processor, but we can certainly hook into it. What is happening is, as many people do, when things get into an approval state, it's going through, it's creating PDF files. And then the last thing that it does that you'll see it's at right now is it's sending those files to the Pulse platform, which has ultimately been configured to go to the construction cloud. So as this is finishing up, Pulse is based essentially on scripts. Once the data gets to the Pulse platform, it's hey, what script runs and what do we want to do with it at that point. So in just a second, you'll see it finish. And we'll kick over. Here is what it looks like inside of Pulse. Every file that gets sent is logged, and ultimately that flows directly into the construction cloud. A couple of things to note with this. Number one, you'll see that the metadata flowed with it. The project name, project manager, number, life cycle, the revision step, or basically the revisioning scheme, that flowed right across. All these files are completely viewable, just like you would expect them to be inside of Docs. We sent, in this particular case, the native files, the DWGs, as well as the PDF files that it created. In some situations, we may only want to send the PDFs. We can absolutely do that. All of it is just absolutely configurable. The other thing to note is I had configured this to just mimic the directory structure inside of Vault. In some cases, that's a good thing. And some cases, maybe we want to change the directory structure and change where files and some folders get mapped to different folders. All of that is an absolute possibility. Just in this particular case, we kept them one and the same here. So the next, after we had implemented that, there was a question that came back and said, well, yeah, that's great and all, but what about build inside of the construction cloud? Can we use Pulse to send these files as sheets? So that answer is absolutely yes, we can. We can publish those sheets manually. We can trigger it based off of a lifecycle change, really just like you saw before. Sheet titles and tags can be based on Vault properties. In this particular utilities case, they had essentially a user-defined property in Vault that was linked to their drawing title blocks. And that was the name of the sheet. So we were able to take that user-defined property, which was really being driven by the DWG files, and then pass that on to the sheet titles inside of build. So that's absolutely supported, as well as tags. We can add tags, as many as you want. And the other thing that I will mention is multi-page PDFs are supported with this as well. Yeah, so here we are back inside of Vault, and what I did was I just took a handful of those PDF files that got created from the last step, if you will, and I'm going to use just the Pulse or from Vault, send these files directly to Pulse. And with this particular way, I'm picking the script. I'm telling it to hey, only send these original files, which in a sense are the PDF files. Those files, you can see, they are uploading. In this case, we're not using the job processor. That happened fairly quickly. It sent 4 files, to Pulse. Then it's going to, in turn, go to the construction cloud. But here are those files being queued and processed. In just a second, we'll flip over to build and start to refresh these pages, and you'll see these files start to trickle in, right? Keep in mind when PDFs, if we're essentially doing programmatically what a user would have to do manually. So if you drag and drop a PDF file, into build, one of the first things you have to do is name the version set. Then it goes through kind of that discovery process of the files, to where it tries to extract the sheet title and naming and some of this information. And behind the scenes, it's still doing that. We're just doing it programmatically, right? And scenarios where there are multiple page PDFs, you can see I have it configured just to essentially put the page number of the PDF in parentheses right next to it. However, that's certainly not the only way that we could handle that information. All right, and one of the last slides that I wanted to talk about were considerations. Things to start thinking about if you would like to explore this solution. And we listed a handful of them, but there's certainly more here. But these are some of the main ones, and start to think about how do ACC projects map to Vault folders, right? Is all of this information go under one project, like in my examples, or does every folder inside a Vault, somewhat represent a unique project inside of ACC? We can accommodate that either way. However, it is definitely something to consider. We need to start thinking about folder mappings and structure. Do you want to just mimic the folder structure that's inside a Vault? Do you want to kind of remap that or rework that into the Construction Cloud folder structure? Thinking about what files get sent. Do you want to send everything? Do we just need to send a few? In a lot of cases, especially this particular client, they only send PDFs. They don't want files to conceivably be edited, although I know that you can prevent that in the Construction Cloud. They didn't even want to take that risk. They're just sending PDFs. Are we sending the files to docs? The doc side of the Construction Cloud under files, or are we turning them into sheets? Right, I kind of show both ways just to show that we can accommodate either. However, more often than not, it's probably one or the other there. We need to start thinking about what triggers a file movement, right? In my example, it was that lifecycle change. Is there something else, that needs to be triggered? You want it to where the users just have to do it manually? Again, all things to think about. Are there custom attributes or Vault properties that need to flow through? That's an important consideration. And then finally, are there round tripping workflows? In this, in my example, we only went one direction. We went from Vault to Pulse to the Construction Cloud. However, we can absolutely go the reverse direction. From the Construction Cloud through Pulse, back into Vault, and we have to think about, well, what does that look like? At that point, what would trigger that update? Is it a revision to the file or a new version of that file? Is it a change in one of its properties? To have that flow back through, to go the other direction. So with that, my last slide is just a quick summary, and then we will absolutely open this up for discussion and Q&A. But just kind of in summary, IMAGINiT Pulse, is really nothing but an integration platform that connects multiple business systems together. Right? We have the platform and it connects via what we call endpoints. Right? Pulse will tie into and extend out-of-the-box functionality, transferring files and metadata to docs and build. And by all means, we can certainly assist in planning and helping you implement this solution. It's not hard, especially once it's set up and running. We have trained multiple clients on basically maintaining and creating new functionality themselves. So it's really not that difficult.